When it comes to our finances, there is an abundance of advice being offered on the daily. However, not all of it is always accurate. Surprisingly, there are lots of common money rules that we learn about that are actually myths. So in today's video, I'm going to be diving into another set of 5 common money rules which have actually been proven to be false. I've linked the first video I made on this topic down in the description below, so if you get any value out of watching this one, feel free to go and give that one a watch after. And with that being said, let's get straight into it, starting with myth number 1, being you need to have a high-paying job to be wealthy. Your income will play a role when it comes to building your wealth, but it won't be the only factor. The way you manage your income and your money in general will actually be the key. Generally, those who are able to maintain a frugal lifestyle are the ones who are able to save, and they have the option to invest, and if they make wise investment decisions, it can pay off quite handsomely. And just to be clear, I'm just setting the scene here. I know this isn't a new concept by any means for anyone who wants to call me Captain Obvious. However, it is worth mentioning because establishing disciplined money habits forms the foundation of a strong financial system. The cost of living in certain areas around the world may require a high income to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. This is not always the case though. If you're willing to relocate for something like work, it can be a suitable option to reduce financial stress. Here in Australia in particular, most people tend to flock to New South Wales and Victoria, where Melbourne and Sydney are, being our 2 most populated capital cities in Australia. What's really interesting is that there are lots of other good places in Australia to live. I live in South Australia, so I'm biased. I love where I live. It's a great place to live. And the cost of living is significantly different to those in the eastern states. Another one worth mentioning is that for those who create passive income streams over the course of, let's say, a career, they will heavily reduce their reliance and need for a high income paying job. As a very simple example, this YouTube channel is something I created as an outlet to talk about topics that I'm interested in and learn about things and document things that are kind of important to me. What it's turned into is I'm actually making money from the videos that I'm putting out, which is now paying me a little bit of income on the side, and it's actually growing. And if it consistently continues to grow, my reliance on my job will heavily reduce. I suppose the one-liner to end topic number 1 for today's video is that me utilizing my time to make these videos is really starting to pay dividends, even though that wasn't the end goal. It's pretty cool to think that I can actually make some money for doing something that I really enjoy doing as well. And over time, if it continues to grow, I will reduce my reliance on my 9-to-5 job income. Moving on to topic number 2 now. The next myth is the belief that you should always buy a house. This is an interesting one, particularly in Australia, where people have been led to believe that the only way to live is through home ownership. As someone who is a strong advocate that buying a property to live in will improve your way of life, and being someone who is heavily invested in the property market, I still understand the reasons as to why someone may not choose to chase down home ownership. The upfront cost of buying a house is a significant barrier for many, and that cost has steadily been increasing over the past 50 years. Also, additional expenses related to the purchase of a house, such as stamp duty, just to name one example, can run into the tens of thousands of dollars as well, which is something that can be quite difficult to decide on when you realize that that money is basically going to evaporate into thin air. For those who believe that they can better utilize their money by chasing down other opportunities, opting out of buying a house may be a more financially viable option. Another thing worth considering is that buying a house also limits your flexibility, where most people who buy a home buy it within the range of where they live. So you're technically going to be locked down to that location for a period of time, because renting out a home in a different state altogether makes it quite difficult to see how that house is being managed. I know people that do it. However, personally, I know a lot of people that would prefer to be within close proximity to that place so they could do whatever they need to do to it to keep it at a suitable standard, where this can truly hinder your ability to move for work or other opportunities, which can definitely have a mental and financial burden. Another factor to consider is that the stigma that property always goes up is something that is widely believed among many. However, this isn't always the case. Houses definitely do fluctuate depending on where they are, what the conditions of the environment are around them, and there are risks associated with purchasing a property. Being someone who purchased a property at the peak of COVID, I have seen a decline in the value of my home over that period of time to where we are today for various reasons. Now, Luckily, I'm planning to live in this home for the rest of my life, and if all goes to plan, I'm going to be pretty happy with the purchase I made, irrespective of what I paid. I paid a premium to live where I want to live. For those who rely on capital growth and those who aren't good with numbers fluctuating and going into negative equity or their house being worth less than what it's worth now because they wanted to sell it for a property, this can definitely be detrimental and something that should absolutely be considered if you are someone who doesn't deal with those types of situations well. So for the end of topic 2, buying a house may not always be the best option, may not always be the solution, depending on what you want to get out of your own situation in general. The next myth is one that I hear very often, particularly from the older generations, which is you should never buy a new car. Generally, buying a brand new car is going to be your most expensive option, unless it's a collectible item. However, for those who frequently drive for work or run their own business, purchasing a brand new car can definitely be a viable and reliable option. New cars tend to require less maintenance. They also are generally cheaper to fix because parts are more readily available. And a lot of the newer models, definitely the more reliable brands, come with pretty comprehensive warranties. Although cars are typically not considered good investments, they can definitely maintain a high resale value if they are well taken care of. This can definitely help to offset the cost of upgrading to an even newer car down the road if you put the cash or the money that you get for the sale of that one towards the purchase of the new car. The convenience of new technology in a new car can also really be a nice feature. If you can afford it, the added comfort and enjoyment it might add to your driving experience may well and truly be worth the upfront expense. I used to believe that you should never buy a new car as well. However, my perspective has definitely shifted over the years. After considering a lot of the benefits that I've just talked to, if I was in a position to buy a new car because I'd planned for it, I'm pretty sure I would probably go down that path. Now, the next rule says the opposite to the previous one, which is you should always buy the extended warranty. Plain and simple, it might not always be the best option to buy the extended warranty for any product you purchase. The additional cost to the purchase price may not provide enough value to justify having it. Lots of products don't actually need the added coverage as well. If you buy a quality product and take care of whatever it is that you're buying, it will usually last. This is one that I would definitely be very careful with. Always consider buying the extended warranty, but definitely put some thought into it as to whether or not you actually need it. And finally for today, money rule number 5, which has been proven to be false, is that you should never use a financial advisor. This may not be a service which is necessary for everyone, especially those who are just starting out in their careers and their wealth building journey. However, for those who are earning a substantial income and have uncertainty about the best ways to go about managing it, speaking to a financial advisor definitely could be a viable option. A good financial advisor can help you make informed financial choices, or they may table some items that you may not have originally thought about that could work for your situation. The catch to this is that it can definitely be difficult to find a financial advisor who is both reliable and proficient in their field, especially if you don't have any reliable sources or good recommendations. To wrap up for today, it's important to note that the topics that I've discussed may not be as clear-cut as they seem to be based on their titles. It's important to keep in mind that the best option for one person may not be the best option for another person. The money principles that I've discussed today have both advantages and disadvantages, and how those advantages and disadvantages work with every single individual will differ greatly. By understanding the misconceptions of these widely believed money rules, you can make better informed decisions, and it will definitely help you evaluate what the best option is going to be for you when it comes to managing your finances. And that is the most important takeaway from today's video. It's not always as clear-cut as it may seem. Based on a title, there's not enough information there for you to make an informed decision. Do some research into it and see what works best for you. And with that being said, I don't really have a lot more to talk about. So if you did enjoy today's video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button down below, and go and watch the other videos on the topic. I have linked them down in the description below. I think I've made a few of these because it's pretty interesting seeing some of these misconceptions and how people just believe them based off of their titles, when in actual fact, that's not the best way to go about evaluating one of these options, topics, discussion points. That's pretty much it. So have a good day, have a good week. And as always, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.